There is a certain kind of person in this world. You might know one. You might even be one. They wake up on a Saturday morning, hear a faint drip coming from the kitchen, and instead of picking up the phone, they walk quietly to the cabinet under the sink, pull out a worn toolbox, and get to work. No panic, no helplessness. Just a calm, quiet determination that says, I will handle this myself. This is not just a habit. This is a psychology. A deeply rooted, emotionally layered, beautifully complex psychology that science is only beginning to fully understand. Today, we are going to go deep into the minds of people who do every single piece of maintenance in their home with their own two hands. The ones who fix leaking taps, repair faulty light fixtures, repaint dirty patches of wall, replace broken pipes, and never, not once, feel the need to call a stranger to do what they believe they can do better themselves. Because for these people, this is not about stubbornness. It is not about being cheap. It goes so much deeper than that. It goes all the way to identity, to childhood, to trust, to control, to the profound human need to feel capable in a world that increasingly tells us to outsource everything. Let us begin with the feeling that almost every self-maintaining homeowner knows intimately. That uncomfortable, sinking feeling when a tradesperson walks into your home, spends 4 minutes looking at a problem you have been worried about for weeks, and then turns to you with a number that makes your stomach drop. You think, that cannot be right. That is just a washer. That is just a wire. How can it cost that much? Here is where psychology steps in. A 2012 study published in the Journal of Consumer Psychology found that consumers experience what researchers call price unfairness perception at significantly elevated levels in service industries where they cannot verify the necessity of the work being done. When you cannot see what is being fixed and do not understand how it is being fixed, you are neurologically primed to feel exploited. Your brain's threat detection system fires up the same way it would if someone were deceiving you in any other context. Because in the mind of someone who has been through this experience once, or twice, or 10 times, that is exactly what is happening. Many people who do their own home repairs carry specific memories of moments where they felt cheated. A plumber who said the entire pipe system needed replacing when only one joint was loose. An electrician who quoted a full rewiring job when a single fuse had blown. These are not imagined experiences. A 2019 Consumer Trust Survey found that trades and home services ranked among the lowest trusted industries, with over 60% of respondents reporting they had been overcharged at least once, and over 40% reporting they were told work was necessary when it was not. So the psychology of the DIY homeowner begins, in many cases, not with confidence, but with betrayal. With the moment someone looked them in the eye and took advantage of their not knowing. And the brain made a decision: never again. I will learn. I will know. And when I know, no one can deceive me. This is where the toolbox begins to fill. Not all at once, but slowly, over years. A wrench here, a pipe cutter there, electrical tape, a voltage tester, plaster filler, sandpaper, silicone sealant. Each tool purchased is a small act of psychological armoring. Research in behavioral psychology refers to this as competence acquisition, as threat response. When we feel vulnerable in a particular domain, we are motivated to build skill and gather resources to eliminate that vulnerability. The DIY homeowner is not just collecting tools, they are collecting protection. But distrust alone does not explain the full picture. Because these individuals do not merely tolerate doing their own repairs, they love it. And this is where the psychology becomes truly fascinating. Psychologist Dr. Kelly Lambert's research on what she calls effort-driven rewards shows that when human beings use their hands to solve tangible, real-world problems, the brain releases a powerful cocktail of dopamine and serotonin, a deep, well-earned satisfaction. This is ancient. This is primal. When you fix a leaking tap and the dripping stops, your brain rewards you in a way that no delivery notification, no social media like, and no Netflix episode ever can. This is why self-maintaining homeowners often describe the experience in almost spiritual terms. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, whose research on optimal human experience is considered foundational in modern psychology, described flow as a state of complete absorption in a meaningful, skill-matched challenge. Home repair sits in exactly that zone, challenging enough to require focus, familiar enough to feel manageable. The result is focused calm and complete presence, increasingly rare in modern life. And then there is self-efficacy. Albert Bandura, one of the most cited psychologists in history, defined self-efficacy as a person's belief in their own ability to execute behaviors and produce specific outcomes. His research consistently shows that high self-efficacy leads to greater persistence, resilience, and personal satisfaction. People who fix their own homes are not just fixing their homes. They are reinforcing their self-efficacy with every completed repair. Every time the tap stops dripping, every time the light comes back on, they are sending a message to their own brain. You are capable. You do not need to depend on anyone. And this belief creates a cycle. Once you have successfully changed a tap washer, rewiring a lamp feels possible. Once you have rewired a lamp, patching plaster feels like nothing. The competence expands. The confidence expands. And gradually, calling a professional for something they believe they can handle themselves begins to feel not just unnecessary, but almost like a personal failure. Now let us talk about money, because it would be dishonest to pretend financial motivation is not a significant part of this psychology. Research published in the Journal of Economic Psychology, grounded in Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky's foundational work on prospect theory, shows that we feel the pain of losing money approximately twice as intensely as we feel the pleasure of gaining the same amount. When a self-maintaining homeowner is quoted $400 to replace a tap that costs $22 and 40 minutes of their time, their reaction is not irrational. It is a mathematically sound, psychologically healthy response to an objectively poor value proposition. Over a lifetime, people who handle their own maintenance save tens of thousands of dollars. That is a child's education, a retirement account. They are not being cheap, they are being strategic. But beyond money, beyond trust, beyond skill, there is something even more fundamental. We live in an age of radical outsourcing. We outsource our food, our transport, our social connections. And increasingly, we are expected to outsource our homes, the places where we sleep, raise our children, and exist in our most private selves. For some people, this feels like a fundamental violation of something sacred. Research in environmental psychology, including landmark work by Claire Cooper Marcus, demonstrates that our homes are deeply tied to our identity, autonomy, and self-expression. When you repair your own home, you are not just maintaining a property. You are saying, "This is mine. I understand it, and I am responsible for it." There is also, quietly beneath all of this, a resistance to vulnerability. Calling a professional means admitting you do not know something. It means allowing a stranger into your space, your walls, your systems, someone you may have been hurt by before. A 2021 study in social, psychological, and personality science found that individuals with higher general distrust of unfamiliar others showed significantly greater investment in developing independent practical skills. People who have difficulty trusting strangers are more likely to learn to do things themselves. And this is not a pathology. It is a rational, adaptive response to a world where trust is not always rewarded. So the next time you see someone lying under their kitchen sink on a Saturday afternoon, wrench in hand, deeply focused, know that what you are looking at is not just a person fixing a tap. You are looking at someone reclaiming their sense of power in a world that tried to take it from them. Someone whose brain is flooded with the ancient satisfaction of solving a real problem with their own hands. Someone who learned, probably the hard way, that depending on others in certain domains costs more than just money. It costs peace of mind. And in their toolbox, worn at the edges, heavy with years of use, lives something that can't be bought from any tradesperson at any price. It lives in their confidence, in their self-sufficiency, in the quiet pride of a job done well, by their own hands, on their own terms. That is not a quirk. That is not an obsession. That is psychology.